are now tuned in to the Lineman Lounge, the world's thickest sports podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Evo.
¿Cómo están, bitches? This is the Lineman Lounge. I'm Mike, the man to my right, also rocking no fucking sleeves today. Thick Evo. Brother, what is going on? It is a Sunday. The weather is kind of up and down here. Apparently, it's still hotter than fuck out there in Arizona. I'm guessing that's why you took sleeves off today. But my guy, how you doing? I'm excited for this show because there's a lot of like small random stories that have popped up throughout the week. One of them I watched live last night, and it was fucking wild. We'll get into that. But dude, how you doing? How's everything going? And I think I'll see you in my neck of the woods here pretty soon.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. It is hot as all fuck out here in Arizona. We've been hitting the triple digits pretty regularly. This monsoon season has been dog shit. We'll get clouds and maybe a little sprinkle here and there, but not daily or anything like that. So that's kind of sucked. But yeah, doing good. Still hitting the gym and eating healthy a whole lot. That's more or less why I got the sleeves.
I did see that.
Gotta let the puppies breathe a little bit. But yeah, it's been good out here. I'm actually super tired because yesterday was 2 workouts in one day and burnt myself out lifting weights and then doing an old Bob Harper kettlebell workout. So that one destroyed me back in Afghanistan back in the day. And I took the old lady on a trip down memory lane with Bob Harper and his kettlebell workouts. And yeah, we got maybe 15 minutes into it before we were both gassed and she was ready to throw up. So it was awesome. So that's going well. But yeah, man, just chilling here. We probably will be out in Ohio sometime in the next couple weeks here. And so hopefully we'll get to see you and the family.
Yeah, I mean, so I've seen you guys hitting the gym, doing the workouts. That's fucking awesome. Congratulations. Obviously I'm still not there. I got a long ways to go before I'm going to be able to do that. I got a new cast.
You did have a gain by subtraction.
I did have a gain by subtraction. Not the kind of gains that you guys are getting because you guys are looking very good. Eventually, she's going to be able to press you over her head, though. She is yoked right now.
That's why I said she can carry me to bed here before too long.
Yeah. But yeah, a little addition by subtraction. I no longer have a tube coming out of my dick. So pretty pumped. Catheter is gone. I got a new cast. The old cast was shit. This is like an actual cast. I can move my fucking hand now again. So that's also very helpful. I got a couple signatures on there from the girls. So still, I don't really need to do that. Producer Amber has been fantastic since I got the catheter out. Dude, the first one it was kind of unpleasant.
I was being honest. Say, was it nutty?
Yeah, it was kind of unpleasant. It was.
Yeah.
We'll just leave it there. I'm not going to get too far into what happened with that, but
absolutely, that's for another show.
That is for another show. It did take a little while before I stopped peeing blood. Because when it came out, and it was an awful circumstance and how it worked. They're like, okay, we're going to pump your bladder full of this liquid. So they pump fluid in there. And it's like, let us know when you have to pee. And it was like almost immediate. It's like, all right, you guys can stop putting fluid in there. I got to pee right now. They're like, oh, okay. Then yank. Here comes the catheter after they deflate the balloon. And then it's like, oh, immediately right into peeing, blood and scab. Not good. Not fun. This cat is about to fuck all my shit up behind me.
Yep. You start getting shit knocked off there.
Oh, yeah. Bird is about to fuck some shit up. It looks like there is a glass. I'm gonna let him go. We'll see how he does.
This is good.
He believes, though, it looks like. But yeah, man, I'm good. Things are getting better. I'm allowed to drive again. Finally, I got a new cast. I picked pink because I figured the girls would like it, and it lets me quote the movie Employee of the Month. We're pink like vaginas. But without
All right.
further ado, are we ready to start talking about some fucking sports?
Absolutely, brother.
All right, man. So over this last week, like not any big news has really happened. It's been kind of small little things, but one piece of massive news, if you are a college football fan, would be that the Pac-12 is basically fucking gone. With the teams that are now scheduled to leave, you had UCLA and USC already on the docket to join the Big Ten. They will be joined now in the Big Ten by Oregon and Washington. So two more of the premier teams in the Pac-12 are leaving for the Big Ten. And then the Big 12 that is seeing some of their premier members in Texas and Oklahoma leave, they're going to gain a couple of teams somehow throughout this. They're going to get Utah, Arizona State, Arizona, I believe, as well. So they're going to move up to 16 teams somehow in the Big 12. The Pac 12 is basically going to be defunct. We are not going to have a Power Five anymore. There's going to be 4 conferences, and we're working our way towards nothing but super conferences, possibly down to maybe just 2 super conferences, Big Ten and SEC. SEC will more than likely be looking to add some other teams as well, because there are talks of teams like Clemson and Florida State looking to jump ship from the ACC as well. What do we make of this massive shift in what's going on in college football?
Um, it's interesting. I mean, college football being broken up into so many different conferences, and you have smaller conferences out there. Like, what are we looking at? The FBS Independence, which is your Army, Notre Dame, UConn, and UMass. Technically, are FBS Independents right now.
Everybody you just named should not be allowed to win a national title, by the way. I just want to point that out real quick because you're not in a conference. Talking to you, Notre Dame.
But it's interesting when you have some of these, smaller conferences and stuff like that. There's, everyone's considered like SEC to be like cream of the crop for a long time. And then like the American Conference is normally not as competitive, things like that. So having some of these bigger conferences hopefully will breed better competition, or will kind of level some of the playing fields a little bit. I honestly don't know how it's going to shake out though in the long run. It just seems like we're creating super conferences, and we might end up needing to have a breakdown almost like the NFL is, where you have 2 conferences and divisions within those conferences. It could, we talked about this a little bit before the show. To me, it feels like an opportunity for them to reevaluate that college football playoff a little bit and create more of a bracket than what the small bracket that we have now.
Yeah.
So I don't know
8 teams
that
we'll be moving up to, though. I want to say 2024. I think they're moving to 8 teams, but
yeah,
I don't.
It's just with we have 32 NFL teams and 16 of them get in, or is it 18 now or whatever with the extra wild card slots or something like that. Either way,
I think it's just 16, 8 and 8.
You have roughly 50% of the league,
maybe
a little bit less, getting into the playoffs. With college football, you have so many teams, and don't get me wrong, a lot of them don't deserve to be in the playoffs. But if we're able to even get like a quarter of these teams an opportunity into the playoffs, it makes sense to me. It's more football. It's more opportunity for these guys to show their skills on the field and get drafted because of it. Like an expanded playoff format is something that I'm all about.
Yeah, so I love the idea of the expanded playoff, and I like the idea of kind of conference realignment, but the super conferences is going to be kind of weird. Like at this point, and I guess it makes sense. If you got 8 teams that can get in, having 1 loss does not hinder you from having a chance to make the playoffs anymore. Having 2 losses might not hinder you if you got 8 teams getting in, especially if you're playing in a conference featuring fucking 10 top 25 teams, because there are just so many teams in your conference. Oregon's top 25 team. USC has the potential to be a top 25 team and throughout the entire year with Caleb Williams. UCLA is not there yet, but like the Big Ten is adding additional like playoff caliber or really good fucking squads in who they're adding. So I guess it makes sense. More competition, you look better. Maybe it will help recruiting, getting you into different parts of the country. for some of the maybe not your Ohio States and Michigans and your USCs, but for your Washingtons, your UCLAs that maybe won't get that premier guy, really good prospects, but maybe not your 5-star guys. Maybe they'll start looking there because you'll have a chance to be on the national stage every week. I could see that being a thing, but we were all on board with NIL and these guys getting more and more money, right? For the player. That is kind of becoming secondary. The NCAA now no longer has free reign on their ability to, have players, make them shitloads of money and they're not getting anything back in return. So they're kind of going like, well, what's the best way that we can make as much money as possible and make it still be all about us and not so much about the player? Well, let's just create fucking super conferences. There's going to be so much money generated from these massive super conferences because you're now getting teams in huge markets they wouldn't necessarily have access to. Ohio State is going to be in the LA market probably once a year. That's so much more exposure for your university to make more money. Mm. So it's a money grab, in my opinion, what they're doing, with the colleges and the conferences are doing. It has the potential to be really good, but it also has the potential to kind of make college football not what college football is anymore.
Yeah, it is just tough to really predict how this is going to turn out because we haven't had this major of a shift in these conferences in at least my lifetime. I don't know if it's really happened much before. I mean, we are entering into a new era of kind of what's happening with college football, whether it's NIL deals, the extreme use of this transfer portal, and now these realignments of the conferences is becoming way more of like a professional sports league rather than just a collegiate sports league. So it's interesting, and it could work out good. It could work out bad. I think that the transfer portal sounded really good, and there's been some negatives that are kind of coming with it now because players are just flip-flopping all over the place.
Yeah. You all right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So popped up comment there, Joe Rockstar. What's up, brother? Good to talk to you. And I'm going to pop it back up there because there's an interesting little piece of information in here. Good morning to Mike and Stan. Stan is the lovely name for Evo, his actual name. Parentheses or fuck are those called?
Parentheses. In parentheses,
Dan.
It says Dan. Yeah.
So tell me why he called you Dan. You wanna tell that story?
Yeah, I went and ordered some pizza and wings from Vinny's on Friday night, and they asked for your name over the phone. So being military, and knowing that my name is not the easiest to spell, I go into the phonetic alphabet and spell it out for them. I tell them my name is Stan, Sierra Tango Alpha November, and then I go through my full last name. Well, they proceeded to absolutely butcher my shit on the receipt and not even get the full 4 letters in my first name. They did Dan Easezold or something like that, with Z's in there and shit like that. And I was like, this is just disrespectful. This seems absolutely intentional. Like, I've had my name misspelled a lot, but not like that. Not after a phonetic spelling.
Dude, when I saw the receipt, I fucking died laughing. Especially when you said that you had spelled it out for them. And you spelled it out phonetically.
Yeah.
At that. Like, you give them the phonetic alphabet and they still fuck it up. Maybe they don't know how to spell. Like, they don't know what letters go with what sound. I don't know. But that was hilarious. Anyways, let's get back into talking about sports. You got anything else on college football, man? Because the realignment is going to be wild, and it's not stopping anytime soon. This is a story that we're going to have to follow back and forth because there's going to be some teams, I think, that make jumps to conferences and potentially make a jump again when it's all said and done, just because we're going to get down to the potential. We're going to get down to 2, maybe a third super conference.
Yeah, that's right now. I mean, we have the American, Mid-American, Mountain West, ACC, Big 12, SEC, the Big Ten, and the Sun Belt Central Conference. I mean, those still have decent amounts of teams. The Pac-12 is just about to be nothing. So the rest of those teams that are remaining there, I would think that before the beginning of next season, we'll have something worked out to move to different conferences. It is very quickly dropping the number of conferences that we're going to have into these essentially super conferences. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah,
It'll be interesting.
I believe the Pac-12 is about to be down to 4. The Pac-4 does not sound nearly as cool as the Pac-12.
Yeah.
But
I mean, if it
all
was
right, brother,
for really elite teams, maybe, but
sure. But they're not. I'm pretty sure they're not at all. I think the teams that are left are Stanford. Fuck, who else is there? It's not even worth it. It's not. They're not going to be a conference, so I'm not even gonna bother. But all right, so let's get into some more sporting news. Recent sporting news happened last night. We are going to talk about a fight, but we're going to talk about a fight that took place in a boxing ring first, before we talk about a fight that took place on a baseball diamond.
Mm-hmm.
So the fight that took place last night, we had Nate Diaz, a guy that we really like, MMA fighter, against Jake Paul, guy that we don't necessarily like, but I think starting to respect his abilities inside of a boxing ring. And the fight, from some of the things I've seen, not great. I tried to stay up. I watched some of the undercard. It was so fucking late here. I fell asleep, so I didn't watch the whole thing. So
it was an interesting one. I think the issue,
guys over at Network 216, thanks for hopping in.
I think what's interesting here, and the reason why I personally have the issue with Jake Paul in these boxing matches is because while he is going up against other fighters, he's not going up against boxers regularly. It would be kind of like me doing a 40-yard dash against a paraplegic at some points. All right. I'm probably going to win.
That is a big gap there.
That is a big gap. And I am definitely sweetening that pot a little bit to make my point. But you're going up a guy who, while Jake Paul has plenty of stuff outside of boxing that he does, he has legitimately been training as a boxer.
That's all he trains for.
Yeah, it's what he does, like it's his job. And for that, I respect the gains and the progress and everything that he's made. He does look like a boxer out there. But when you're going into a boxing ring and then trying to act like you're a really good boxer, but you're not going up against boxers, and the one time you do, you lose. And let's be real, Tommy Fury is
not a good boxer.
Not a great boxer. Yeah. So, and you lose that one. It's kind of like, what are we doing here? You need to, quit. I mean, acting like
what they're doing is they're making money, which is one thing that I can absolutely get behind. Like, keep getting your bag. Like, the Paul brothers basically cornered the market on how to fucking make money on the internet. They were the first ones that really figured out a way to blow up and make a shitload of money on the internet. And they've kind of transitioned that into this other realm. Jake Paul is now a legit full-time boxer. I think he is a better boxer than a lot of people give him credit for, but he is not a great boxer, but he doesn't have to be, because more than anything, he's a promoter. He's a salesman. He's a businessman, and his business is really fucking good right now. He's making a lot of money. So for that, I have a lot of respect for it. You're getting more eyes on boxing with Jake Paul than we had in probably the last decade, because boxing had fallen off in popularity quite a bit. And now he's pulling guys from MMA who have had all this popularity for the last decade, and he's kind of flipping it on its head. He's using that as a way, as a factor to make money. It's brilliant business, but like, I 100% understand what you're saying. Like, he's not fighting boxers, and when he did fight a boxer, the boxer beat him, and the boxer that he lost to is really not that good of a boxer.
Yeah.
But what he's excellent at is making fucking money and being a businessman. So
sure. And that's why you're having a lot of these older veteran UFC guys coming over and MMA guys coming over and being willing to fight because, hey, I've already got my name set as who I am as a fighter.
Mm-hmm.
But I can come over here. If I win, cool. If I lose, cool. Diaz got $500,000 just for the fight. If he had won, he would have gotten $1 million, but he got $500,000 just for going in there and fighting this guy. And at the end of the day, and it was brought up by the announcers, if he loses, it's a boxing match. He doesn't care. If this was a street fight, he's absolutely winning. Diaz is absolutely probably fucking whooping his ass.
He would beat the shit out of him, I think.
And that's my opinion from watching the fight yesterday, which Jake Paul won. But Diaz stuck in there 10 rounds. I've got mad respect for that. He took some big shots, and you could just tell that Nate Diaz was completely uncomfortable with being in that boxing ring because it's way different in MMA where you are not just guarding against fists. You can't get in close with that guy usually because they've got their legs, they've got takedowns, they've got all this stuff. So when Jake Paul closes the gap on him, Nate doesn't know what to do. He's not trained for that. You could just see how it was awkward and uncomfortable.
Nate wants to fucking grab him and knee him in the goddamn sternum.
Absolutely. And that's wearing the bigger gloves. I don't think that gets talked about enough. His punches looked awkward. It's definitely different throwing punches with a glove on versus with that UFC little mitt. So, but at the end of the day, like I feel like if Jake Paul really wanted to be considered one of these strong boxers, he should be getting a little bit more. I mean, he has 4 knockouts, but like against a guy like Diaz,
he needs to fight some boxers and guys that are not past their prime, because basically every fighter that he has fought from the UFC has been well past their prime or never really had a prime in a Ben Askren.
Yeah. And that's Nate Diaz. Like he said, he started off his fighting career in a boxing gym, but that's where a lot of fighters started off from his era and his age group. I mean, Diaz is in his 40s. You start off probably fighting on the streets and then you get into a boxing gym because that's what was around. And then MMA starts to make headway and you're able to jump over into that because that parlays a lot easier into more of a street fighting type of skills. It doesn't mean that he was ever a boxer, He knew how to fight. He knew how to fight on the streets, not box. And so that doesn't make him a boxer.
He's from Stockton, California. I doubt he did a lot of boxing. Like, he was getting into fucking scraps out on the street.
Yeah.
Or he was training in a gym for multiple disciplines. But listen, these things are going to keep coming. And if they get some really good fighters, like the undercards are typically pretty decent fights because you'll get a couple guys who are actual boxers. There was an undercard last night that I watched. It was 2 former UFC guys. One of them, Avila was one guy's name. Like, he looked like a boxer. The MMA, the guy who spent the majority of his career fighting in the UFC, I don't remember his name, did not look like a boxer at all. Like,
it was like Avila and Stevens or something like that.
Stevens, yeah.
And the guy with the beard, not Avila, Stevens or whatever his name was, he's 0-1. He had a draw in his only boxing fight that he had, and he definitely looked outmatched.
Yeah, I mean, he's not like being in a fight is not the same thing as being a boxer. There's a reason it's called the sweet science. There's a lot of shit that goes into boxing, and I love this comment. Speaking of crossover in sports, did anyone enjoy DeMarcus Ware's national anthem? Sometimes you need some honest friends and family around. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the Hall of Fame game and some of the inductees. Man, I applaud his courage.
Yeah, I'll say it. I don't have a problem with it, but we can talk about it when it comes time.
Yeah. Oh God, it was tough. But anything else fight-wise in the boxing ring from last night or any of the UFC stuff? Because there was also UFC on last night. I did not catch any of that, so I would be talking out of my ass if we did.
Yeah, I didn't watch any of the UFC stuff. I had the completely legal paid for fight from Paul and Diaz on.
Yeah, DAZN. Yeah, definitely a subscriber to DAZN.
You can get it on ESPN as well. So
that's good.
That's where I got mine.
Yep, that's it. Interesting little piece of news in the boxing fighting world. Apparently, Mike Tyson is going to train Francis Ngannou to fight.
Yes, he is training with him right
Tyson
now.
Fury. I still don't like his chances. I mean, Ngannou's got fucking crazy power. I just don't like his chances against, Tyson Fury, because one guy's an actual boxer. But adding Mike Tyson to your training camp is a good move, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't want to doubt Ngannou. Tyson Fury is a beast, an absolute beast when it comes to boxing, but he's also getting up there in age. Ngannou, you could kind of look at it as being fresh as far as being a boxer. That whenever you have a guy with a story like Ngannou, where he's having to travel across the desert and stuff like that to become, or seek asylum from his country in Africa, and the shit that he went through, I just know that whenever you get him into a situation where he is fighting, he's able to pull from that life and death sort of mentality. And I wouldn't put it past him to be able to, be an outstanding boxer. That we haven't really seen it. I mean, of course, we've seen some stuff in the UFC ring, but like we've just talked about, it's very different. So him actually going through a true boxing fight camp now, switching that mindset to boxing, where this isn't a Diaz coming over to fight Jake Paul, where Diaz probably did some training for boxing, but it's not his life now. Ngannou's making this his professional career kind of move right now, not necessarily taking UFC off the table, but he's switched his focus as a fighter generally in his prime to boxing, and he's getting one of the best boxers ever to help train him. He's taking it seriously. I think that he's going to be able to put up a serious fight against Tyson.
Well, and here's the thing. All he really needs is a puncher's chance because he has so much fucking power. Yeah. All he's got to do is be able to hang in there, and he might be able to throw a crazy, wild, overhand right that just catches somebody right on the jaw. So let's talk about baseball, because that's exactly what the fuck happened last night, man. I don't know if you saw the replay, any of the highlights.
Yeah, I didn't see it live, but I saw the replay.
So we were watching it live.
I did make sure to post a meme, I believe, as well on the Lineman Lounge Facebook page.
Yeah. It was fucking wild. It was awesome to see. And watching it live, I didn't realize, I guess, the extent of what had happened and the damage that was done to Tim Anderson. So Guardians down. We're not a good team right now. We are struggling. We were down in this game, but we were battling back. Jose Ramirez hits a fucking line drive down the right field line. 1 run scores. He's stretching it out into a double, slides into second base, right in between Tim Anderson's legs. And Tim Anderson applies a kind of a hard, shitty tag like he's been doing. This happened earlier in the series as well. Tim Anderson applied a tag onto Brian Arocchio and pushed him off the bag. So he's been kind of a cocksucker this series. But he's also been kind of a cocksucker all season, if we're being honest. He has caused problems with numerous teams. Josh Donaldson he got into it with. There was a little bit of that being Josh Donaldson's fault. But Tim Anderson has also kind of set himself up for loud, justifiable criticism, in my point. When you try to compare yourself to Jackie Robinson, you should probably just fucking shut up and stop. Because you're not Jackie Robinson. To make an assumption, to make a comparison like that, I think is disrespectful to what Jackie Robinson truly did.
Sure.
It's not against Tim Anderson. It's against what Jackie Robinson truly went through and stood for. So to make that comparison is outlandish, and you're going to catch some shit for that. But he's also just been a not good player at all this year. Hasn't hit at all. Just hit his first home run, I believe, this last week. And he's doing things like pushing people off the bags, applying hard tags, potential to hurt people. And Jose didn't like it. Jose got up in his face, pointed him right in his fucking nose. Like, don't mess around with me.
Well, that's he slid in a second right between Anderson's legs, and then Anderson just kind of looked down, stared at him, and Ramirez put his hand up like, "Are you going to help get me up?" or something like that. General sportsmanship, and there might have been words exchanged. I don't know. They might have said something, but there definitely ended up being words exchanged because once Ramirez got up, that's when he was pointing in his face, getting in his shit. It looked like the ump or whatever.
He was going to try to step in to stop it, and then he realized,
he was like, "Nope."
Oh shit! Oh shit! These guys are fucking squaring up, and that's exactly what happened. Can we find that clip real quick?
Yeah, Malachi Moore was the second base umpire for that one, and then I'm sure that we can find the clip here.
I'm sure we can find it. I could probably find it on Twitter real quick. But goes and they square up, and Tim Anderson drops his glove first. So Tim Anderson kind of initiates with the hard tag, initiates squaring up to go to fight, throws the first punch that Jose Ramirez slips, and then proceeds to catch a right hand, a wild, just fucking flailing right hand from Jose Ramirez. But it hit him right on the goddamn button. And it was...
Oops. We got a little ad going on right here. Just a second.
Okay, so we got some highlights.
It'll get to it here, I'm sure.
Yeah, so this game was tough to watch because we hit gave up a lot of home runs, but here we go. Line drive down third base line, or first base line, slides in, boom. Good. Jose doesn't like the tag. It's like, what the fuck? He said, don't be doing that shit. Tim Anderson's like, what? You want to go, bitch? Squares up, drops his shit, throws a punch, misses, and then that's the angle that they show on TV. So you don't see the other angle. At least we didn't see the other angle to start with.
Jose, in one of the I saw the other angle.
The other angle is nasty. Catches him on the chin. Perfect fucking spot. Puts him down. And when they were, here we go. Come on. Yep. Miss, wild haymaker. Boom. Sits him down on his ass. There is a great call from Tom Hamilton, who is the radio guy for the Cleveland Guardians. Oh my God, they're swinging. And down goes Anderson. Down goes Anderson. The play-by-play guy for baseball is making this call. It made it even better when I heard that. Jose, don't fuck around. He's got thunder in the bat. He's got thunder in his fucking right hand. And Tim Anderson kind of got exactly what he deserved. He's not in the lineup today. I would imagine that I don't think that we play the White Sox again for the rest of the year after this series, which is probably a good thing because somebody would be getting thrown at, and his name is Tim Anderson.
Yeah. Both managers ejected, both players ejected. That makes baseball a little more fun.
Additional players were ejected as well because they get into a fight, benches clear, there's a melee, everybody separates. Things calm down. And then I believe it's our third base coach, Mike Sarbaugh, starts getting into it with somebody else and fucking benches clear again. And then Tito's screaming at somebody.
It was both Ramirez and Anderson were ejected. Both managers, Terry Francona and Pedro Griffel, and Guardians third base coach Mike Sarbaugh and relief pitcher Emmanuel Clase.
Emmanuel Clase was out there looking for fucking heads to hunt. He just wanted to swing at somebody. It was wild the way it went down. But the call by Tom Hamilton, if you have not heard it, go check it out. It is so fucking funny, especially if it's synced up to the video. It's so good. Joe, I don't know if you've seen it or if you've heard it, it's fucking fantastic. You'll love it.
Francona said after the loss, it's not funny, but boys will be boys.
Yeah. Well, the way that question started was, so Tito, what did you think of Jose's left hook? Tito goes, right hook. That's the only thing he said. Right. So you don't have a future Hall of Fame manager displaying that type of just like, fuck it, whatever, like shit's gonna, boys will be boys. Tim Anderson had to have been kind of egging this on, and last night it boiled over and he got sat the fuck down. I thought that he was trying to like work his way back to get to people. When you see it from a different angle, they're carrying him off the field, and it's almost like he is still stumbling, like he is still wobbled from the punch. So good on Jose. Tim Anderson deserved it. And yeah, that was the best fight that I watched last night.
Yeah. Yeah, it was probably more interesting than the other fights that one would have to pay for. So, but yeah, as far as baseball, otherwise, anything else that you want to go over? Central, again, like you said, Twins are 58 and 54. Your Guardians are 3.5 games back right now. It is still just,
not
tons
really,
of
not
fun
for
there in
me,
the
man.
Central.
Yeah, we stink. You guys stink, but you stink slightly less than we stink. And Guardians are up now, 3-2. I won. Oh, you know what? We do have one more baseball thing that we need to talk about. So I've been betting on this very specific bet for quite some time. I've bet it now 20 times and it has hit 13 times. It has been a very good payer for me. And we haven't given you guys any bets basically since the end of football season. Well, football season is just getting started. We are back underway. And I have a really, really good baseball bet for you. Now, I don't know if this bet is able to be placed on every single sports book that's out there, but I know you can place this bet on FanDuel. So you're able to bet on the result of the first pitch of an inning on FanDuel. Is it going to be a strike? Is it going to be a ball? Well, for the Cleveland Guardians, their leadoff hitter, so it'll be the top of the first if they're away or the bottom of the first if they're at home. His name is Stephen Kwan. Stephen Kwan only swings at 8% of the first pitches that he sees. So more than likely, he's going to watch the ball cross the plate, whether ball or strike. Well, basically every pitcher from Little League up through the pros is told you need to get ahead, work ahead, throw a strike with the first pitch. So because Stephen Kwan is the leadoff hitter, he will always lead off. He will always be that first pitch in either the top or the bottom half of the first inning. Bet on a strike. So today I bet on Stephen first pitch, bottom half of the first inning being a taken strike, a swinging strike, or a foul ball, and it hit. I bet $100 on it, and I won $74 because I've been having so much fucking success that I've bumped up my bets with it.
Yeah,
so
might as well.
It's great. So if you guys want to make a little extra money, this is a fucking fantastic bet. It's the only guy who there's one guy who swings at less first pitches than Stephen Kwan. And it's Adley Rutschman, catcher for the Orioles. But Adley is not the leadoff hitter. I believe Adley hits like second. So this bet would not apply to him. Stephen Kwan is in that unique position where you can take advantage of it. Make your money while you can. Baseball season is not too much longer. And the odds you get are pretty decent. I've seen them as bad as -175, and the best I've seen is -110. So pretty good. I mean, you're not giving up a shitload on the odds. You're still in the ones, but you can make some money here for sure.
You're listening, $20 is $20. You don't have to bet on women's underwater basket weaving polo or something like that. You can actually go with a real baseball bet. Make a little bit of money.
A real baseball bet that I can even back up with statistics. So
absolutely. All right, man. You ready to move on?
I am ready to move on, and we're gonna NFL's next, right? That's the last thing we got.
Yeah.
All right. So, do you want to go ahead and lead the course here? Talk about the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah, we had the Hall of Fame game on Thursday, out there in Ohio, and as it normally goes, there's issues. Now they switched that field to an artificial turf, correct?
I believe it is an artificial turf now. In the past, it was real grass with paint,
which has normally been a problem, and the field gets sloppy and things like that, and real nasty. But even though they fixed that, they didn't prevent them from having technical issues, lights going out in the middle of the game and stuff like that, and them having to pause it.
And that is a high school field. That is Canton McKinley's high school field. So,
yeah, I'm just, if you're going to be on that sort of a stage, and they're obviously getting a lot of funding from the NFL because that's a real nice high school stadium. You'd think that they would have some of that stuff hammered out and not have it be a joke every single year. But, they had those issues happen. But it is what it is. It was the Hall of Fame game. It is the extra preseason game that takes place before the rest of our preseason games start happening as of Thursday this week. So it's where all of your bottom 50% of the roster is really going to be making or cutting their teeth, really.
Hoping to make a name for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And we did get to see a bunch of players out there who are going to end up making rosters for both teams. And there are some, definitely bright points of that game. Some bright players in particular that I think that we'll probably go over today.
Yeah, I mean, so the Hall of Fame game is a terrible football game. It is almost always the worst football game of the year. Because most of these guys are not going to make a roster, but some of these guys do. And some of these guys are rookies coming to show out. Some of these guys are, in their second year trying to prove that they deserve to continue to be on a roster. The Browns had a couple of dudes that I thought performed really, really well that I know are going to be on the roster, or that was one that I know for sure is going to be on the roster. A couple guys that I thought they were fringe bubble guys. So we'll talk about the fringe bubble guys first. DTR, because we have some veteran presence in that quarterback room, I wasn't sure if they were going to slide him into a practice squad spot or what's going to happen. But if we keep a third quarterback, it's going to be DTR. It should be DTR. It should not be Kellen Mond.
Well, that's what I was going to say. What's your quarterback room right now? Because we know Deshaun Watson. I know Kellen Mond is on the field and DTR out there. Do you have another quarterback beyond that?
Oh, yes, and I just forgot his name. The rocket scientist, bald, that we had last year.
Okay.
God,
no
God
eyebrows.
damn it. Yes, what the fuck is his name? How did I just forget his name?
Dobbs.
Thank you.
Josh Dobbs.
So Josh Dobbs is probably going to be the backup.
Sure.
DTR should be the third guy. Kellen Mond should not be that guy. DTR looked really good. Looked dynamic even. Now, granted, he is playing against much lesser competition in the Hall of Fame game. But 8 for 11 for 82 yards and a tud, and he runs 6 times for 36 yards. That is a really good guy to have in place if Deshaun Watson goes down. Like Josh Dobbs can come in and be the guy who can right the ship for a half of football. But the offense has to change when Josh Dobbs comes in. DTR could do some of the same things that Deshaun Watson can do.
Yeah, the showing from DTR was very respectable. I would feel comfortable if they ended up having to cut Dobbs, having DTR in there as the backup, just based off of I liked him coming out in the draft as a backup style quarterback with some upside. He's a later round pick. He shows good mobility, good passing capability. He's not blowing the doors off in any one situation, but as a brand new, fresh rookie, late round pick guy who's probably not getting every single snap in training camp, to show that sort of progression, to be able to still have that same style of play that he did in college, but being able to fit it in with an NFL playbook, the progression that he's had, it's definitely enticing. I think that, this year, yes, probably he's the third quarterback on this team because Kellen Mond, terrible. Like you look at his stat line, it doesn't look absolutely terrible.
But if you watch the game,
92 yards, that's only 4.8 yards on average. And yes, he threw a touchdown, but also he threw a pick. And yeah, if you watch the game, he is not a good passing quarterback. And I was very happy when the Vikings.
He can throw a mean fucking check down, I'll tell you that.
But it'll be inaccurate.
Yeah, well,
Like his check down passes were not on point. That
Yeah.
I was glad when the Vikings got rid of him last year. I was surprised that you guys picked him up, to be honest. But I think that experiment is over, probably for most teams, because he's just not got what it takes. So DTR though definitely looked really good, and I was happy to see him out there on the field.
Same. So another guy that I really had some expectations for, because I think that this kid has a potential to have a pretty impactful career as a scat back type guy. Demetric Felton, man, he ran the ball well. He's shown ability to make plays in the passing game. He has been able to do special things on the field in like actual regular season games. The spin move last year was amazing. And like that's what everybody points to is like, oh yeah, this play shows like some of his potential. I think he has a legit shot to make it on this squad and be a third back, a guy who can come in and help out in the passing game as well as the rushing game a little bit. More so in the passing game though, because I believe Jerome Ford is going to be our number 2 back going into the season. At this point, I don't foresee us adding another running back to the room. Jerome
I don't
Ford
think
will
there's
be
any need to. You
Jerome
guys
Ford will
have
be the
had a
2, and Demetric Felton will be the scat back type guy.
Yeah, you guys have had a very solid running back room for years now. But between Jerome Ford, who I really liked coming out of Cincinnati, he's an easy number 2 replacement. And then you've got both Demetric Felton and John Kelly Jr., who I thought both looked very solid as a 3 and a 4 type of guy. One of them probably doesn't make the roster. One of them probably is a practice squad type of guy. But both of those guys are worthy of being at least number 3s on a lot of teams out there, especially if you're doing a committee room. Like those guys are very solid committee pieces.
Yeah, agreed. I absolutely agree. So those are my 2 guys. That's like, I'm not sure what's going to happen, if they're going to make the roster or not, but Demetric Felton looked good and so did DTR. But one guy that I have no doubts is going to make the roster, and a guy that we were lauding during the draft process as the best receiver coming out of the University of Tennessee, Cedric Tillman looks the part. He has, when he got his opportunities, he made the most of them. That's exactly
3 targets,
what you want.
2 catches, 36 yards.
Yeah, that's fine.
35 yards.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
And he's big body, runs pretty good. He doesn't run like his teammate, his former teammate, who is apparently now the new fastest wide receiver in the NFL. If you read reports out of fucking Giants camp.
Yeah, Jalen Hyatt breaking 24 miles per hour.
Yeah, cool. We'll see it on film. We'll see it during games, or it doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. But Cedric Tillman looked really fucking good. I'm excited about this guy and the potential that he shows. I think that he's going to be a solid number 2, 3 guy, possibly this year, because the wide receiver room is a little in flux. Yeah. Amari Cooper's on the last year of his contract. We'll see if he gets re-signed. Donovan Peoples-Jones could possibly be traded still during this offseason. He could be a direct replacement for him right away. So, but I'm excited about Cedric Tillman.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we boosted him up in the pre-draft process. He was one of my favorite receivers and someone that I really wanted my Vikings to go after, because he's got the big size that you look for in a larger receiver. He's a possession guy, good hands. He is a willing blocker, and he's aggressive once he has the ball in his hands. He's not afraid to pop, his shoulder into some defensive backs. He's not going to blow you with his speed. He's not going to have like the craziest crisp route running, because he is a larger size guy, but he is an absolute stud as a number 2 big possession type receiver. So I like I said, I really like the Browns draft, and I really love this pick by them. He definitely looked good out there on Thursday. Do you have anyone that stood out for you on that Jets squad?
I mean, there's one guy that stood out as still stinking at football. It was Zach Wilson.
Okay.
But listen, they didn't move the ball much, man. Like, if you look at their quarterbacks, they went 3 for 5, 6 for 11, and 1 for fucking 7. 10 for 23 passing. So Ain't none of those guys stand out. The running backs, 9 carries, 27 yards, 9 carries, 12 yards. 1 catch, 19 yards, 2 catches, 18 yards, 2 catches, 7. Like nobody really was like, oh man, that guy's got some flash. With the exception of maybe Malik Taylor, who goes on and catches that long catch, basically generated 90% of Zach Wilson's receiving yards for him, or his passing yards. Defensive wise, I mean, I didn't have a ton of guys there either. I didn't see a lot from the Jets, but I was hyper focused, man. First time I get to lay eyes on my Browns, I was more concerned with watching our defense. But the things that I saw from the Jets offense, nothing's like, oh man, that guy is pretty good. What about you?
Yeah.
Did you see anything?
I mean, so I was a fan of Israel Bonaconda. He didn't put up much stat wise, but he was getting just mixed in quite a bit with that Jets running back room. Bonaconda is a guy that if the Jets didn't have solid running back depth already, I would think would be a good number 2 type of running back. So I'm interested to see where he goes from here. Now the Jets still have not signed a Dalvin Cook or anything like that, and they have Breece Hall and Michael Carter and Zonovan Knight, who are kind of their standalone 3 guys. Abonaconda definitely could push Zonovan Knight to be that third back there. But if they do end up bringing in Dalvin Cook, which it sounds like, the meeting went well with them, but then there's been no signing since because he's probably asking for too much money still. I mean, Breece Hall's your guy. Having Michael Carter there as the backup is nice.
That's a good backup.
If Breece Hall isn't ready to start the season, a room of Michael Carter, Zonovan Knight, and Israel Bonaconda could be a decent platoon back there for him. But anyways, I like Bonaconda. I think that it'll take a year or so for him to really break in and become a good number 2, number 3. But I still liked what I saw from him. On the defensive side, Will McDonald looked good, but that was to be expected. He's a high defensive end, a high pick. And really liked what I saw out of him in college. So I was expecting that. And then for me, the other name that kind of stood out was Chaz Surratt, the middle linebacker, Ford quarterback, UCLA, ended up becoming a defensive player. Vikings took him a couple years ago, and we ended up bailing on him last offseason, and he ended up going over to the Jets. I was never a big Chaz Surratt fan. He always seemed slight for a linebacker because he had that offensive quarterback background. But he definitely looked like he put on weight. He looked like he was way more aggressive. I believe he's the one that got the interception in that game off of Kellen Mond. So he right now is slated to be the backup middle linebacker for the Jets, and he'll probably end up keeping that spot. I don't know if he's going to get pushed for it, but congrats on him for looking a little bit better.
Yeah. Well, you brought up Will McDonald. Will McDonald did look good. I mean, but I don't know why we wouldn't expect to see anything else.
The one guy that wasn't mentioned for your Cleveland Browns, though, that I thought looked decent or at least promising, DeJuan Jones. That's okay.
So he is a large man. He held up well, I thought. I still think he's a little stiff.
Yeah, I did see some technique issues with him. Yeah. I saw at least one pretty egregious hold from him as well that wasn't called. Yeah. But he's not being thrust into the starting lineup right now.
I think he's going to have at least a year, I want to say, probably, before we are worried about him taking over one of the tackle spots. I'm saying one of the tackle spots because left tackle could be an option for him if things don't work out with Jedrick Wills this year, because he's on his 5th-year option. But I don't think they're in any rush to have contract conversations with Jedrick Wills based on his performance over the last 4 years. They were high at one point and then they dropped down.
Because your starting right tackle right now is Jack Conklin, correct?
Yeah, but Jack just got re-signed to like a 3-year deal, which makes the sliding. I don't know if I would at this point in Jack Conklin's career, I'm not sliding him to left tackle.
Yeah, but also how long is Jack Conklin really going to be able to play and be at that high level for? I like Jack Conklin, but he is probably getting towards the twilight of his career. He is, I mean, actually, he's only 28 years old. I thought he was older than that.
I did too, but
I thought he was going to be at least 32. But either way,
health has been a problem for Jack Doe as well. So having a DeJuan Jones there as a potential backup is fantastic. He's still, I mean, he still has work to do, but he's also working with the best offensive line coach in the NFL.
Yeah.
Bill Callahan is the truth when it comes to offensive line coaches.
Yeah,
he is
I
the
would
man. If
expect
he
him
says
to
it,
probably,
you do it.
I would think that he would be able to start by next year. Now, the whole Jedrick Wills and Jack Conklin conversation, that is, I would say I would rather have that situation going on where it's like, okay, we've got 3 guys now who can start at these tackle positions, and we have to figure out which 2 to go with, because DeJuan Jones gives you that flexibility and a little bit of cap relief potentially. I just don't know if I see DeJuan Jones anywhere other than right tackle just because of that size. I don't know if he's going to have the movement that he needs in order to hold up against premier pass rushers on the left side. That does create a little bit of a concern though, because Conklin, I'm not looking at this point to move him over there. Then again, he's been all over the line. I believe he's played center, guard, now tackle. Like, he's been all over the place. So maybe he has some flexibility to move around to the left side. I don't know.
I know that DeJuan Jones will be a part of this team for quite some time. In what capacity that is,
at least 4 years.
I'm not sure yet. I don't see any reason why they're going to cut him. But he's got some technique things to work out. He is so fucking big. I don't know how we can expect him to move that goddamn well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
a little comment from Joe Rockstar here concerning Sharon Rogers.
Yeah, Aaron, pretty good little sideline interview there. Did we pop up this? Yeah, let's just go ahead and toss it up there one more time so I can feed my own ego. Yeah, Zach Wilson stinks. Another guy that stunk in this game was Schwartz for the Browns, but that's because he has bricks for fingers.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll be long for.
He's not making the team. He's not making the team, and if he does, then we need to start having conversations about the front office being too attached to their fucking guys and not doing what's right for the team, because there's no reason he should make this fucking squad.
Absolutely. So DeMarcus Ware in the national anthem.
Yeah. So the night started off, I was pumped, man. I was like, get to see some of these guys. They had nice little interviews beforehand with all the guys who were going to be inducted. It was super cool. And then DeMarcus is like, yeah, I'm singing the national anthem. I was like, oh shit. Like, they're even saying on the broadcast, like, this guy's super talented. And I agree, DeMarcus Ware is super talented. But singing the national anthem is not high on his list of his supreme talents. I applaud him for doing it, for wanting to do it. But it was not a great performance of the national anthem.
Yeah, so I'll say this. If I'm comparing him to other national anthem singers who are professional singers, of course, it was not very good. Dude did way better than I could do. I'll say that. But
I can't sing at all.
I mean, I applaud him for going for it. It doesn't bother me at all. You know, sometimes you'll have a national anthem singer go out there and they will be god-awful garbage trash. But this person was going out there to be the singer, as a singer, not as a former NFL player who has, I don't want to say ulterior motives because that sounds bad, but he had motivations to go out there and sing this beyond just getting in the spotlight. So I don't know if you watched any of the interview stuff with DeMarcus Ware or were they talking about it. One, he did make sure to say, like, I'm more scared for this than I was for any other game or anything like that. But, and yes, better than the Roseanne Bar. But he, made sure to say, he's like, this, I'm more scared for this than any game in my NFL career. Normally I'm going out there with a team. This, I'm going out there solo by myself. It is much more difficult. But the secondary meaning behind it to him was that apparently him and Demaryius Thomas sung the national anthem next to each other every game. So this was important to him being inducted in, as wanting to honor Demaryius as a tradition that the two of them had. So that was his justification behind doing the national anthem, why he got asked to do it, because, hey, you're being inducted and to honor your brother Demaryius. So as as rough as it was, I give complete credit to DeMarcus for going out and do that, because if it was something like that and the roles were reversed for me and I'm going out there to honor my buddy that's no longer there, I'll make myself look like a fool. If
I kind of
I'm
feel
putting
like
my
a
heart
dick
out there.
right now. Not gonna lie.
It's all
DeMarcus, you
good.
did fucking great. Yeah.
It's all good.
I had no idea about the DT stuff.
Yeah. But I mean, it is what it is. I'm proud for DeMarcus for what he did and going out there and singing that anthem. Put himself out in the spotlight a little bit longer.
Yeah, that still takes a big old gut sack to be able to go out there and sing in front of all those people. Because I have to get shithouse to sing in front of a bunch of other shithouse people at a bar.
Mm-hmm.
So going out on national TV is a little different.
For sure. And it's the national anthem it's less of a fun song. Like,
yeah, it's not like singing
honorary traditional type songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not singing What's New Pussycat.
Yeah.
Like old 20
What's
bucks.
new Pussycat? Whoa, whoa, whoa.
And he's not even drunk, ladies and gentlemen. He's just doing
drunk.
that for you.
Not drunk.
But what do you think about
I had my first drink of a beer last night. Dude, my stomach hurt so fucking bad this morning. My stomach hurt so fucking bad. I'm not having alcohol for quite some time.
Just got to work yourself into it nice and slow.
Yeah.
You're like an alcohol virgin again.
Yeah. Oh man, it was not good.
But other guys that were inducted into the Hall of Fame, what do you think of that? So we got Rondy Barber, cornerbacks and safety from the Buccaneers. You've got Don Coryell, one of the most famous coaches who created that Air Coryell offense going out there. Chuck Howley at linebacker. Joe Klecko, defensive tackle and defensive end, nose tackle for the Jets and 1 year with the Colts. Darrelle Revis, who's Thick Boy Revis now. And I kind of liked his speech there when he was, giving props to Dion and everything during his induction. And then Ken Riley at cornerback and Joe Thomas at offensive tackle. I know we can just breeze over that one.
Yeah.
And then Zach Thomas, linebacker. DeMarcus Ware as well. Almost forgot.
Yeah. This is a good class. I don't have any complaints about any of the guys that went in. One of my favorite things is the speeches. I did really like, some of the nods that were being given to some of the all-time greats, like you brought up Revis. And then Joe Thomas is just a fucking national treasure, man. I love everything about that guy. His kid is an absolute savage. He was apparently, every time he saw like Steelers fans, he was fucking screaming at him. So, good class. I enjoy the Hall of Fame induction every year. You get some really great speeches. You get to learn a little bit more about these guys before most of them kind of sail off into the sunset. We're not going to hear from the majority of these guys again. Joe does do some work with the NFL Network and things like that. But I love the Hall of Fame induction ceremonies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, two of the other things that, like I said, I liked the speech from Revis where he was comparing himself with Deion Sanders, and he said, Jordan and Pippen is like Prime and Revis Island type thing, which, I get. Prime was kind of in a class of his own. So pretty impressive there. The other thing, other than, the whole DeMarcus Ware and tribute to Demaryius Thomas, I learned some other stuff about Zach Thomas, the linebacker, who, from 96 to 2007 was just a stud linebacker with the Dolphins. A guy that I believe he was undrafted or a late round pick because he's 5'11", 235, fifth round
super
pick.
Undersized.
Jimmy Johnson didn't expect him, told him that he didn't expect him to make the roster. And then during training camp, he was like, this guy's pretty fucking good. He might become our starter, and ended up eventually becoming the starter. But one thing I learned about Zach Thomas, which helped him understand and read plays so much better from quarterbacks, was that he grew up with a learning disability. Zach Thomas had a hearing issue. So he ended up having to sign things and learn to read lips. The issue had since generally been figured out for him, but because he had that skill of being able to read lips, he was reading plays from the quarterback when they were in the huddle giving it to other, players in the huddle or getting up to the line and calling things out. He was able to read lips and compute that differently than a normal player would, where it worked out to his advantage. Apparently that was a comment from Peyton Manning as well. He's like, I don't know why this fucking guy can always tell what we're doing. And Zach Thomas basically was like, it's not, he's like, yes, that learning impediment helped me out a little bit. And he's like, but half the time I was just making best educated guesses on the stuff, like it wasn't the master key and everyone should go out there and learn to read lips that wants to play middle linebacker. But it's just an interesting note there about Zach Thomas.
Yeah. All right, man. I mean, I got nothing else on the Hall of Fame inductions or any of that. Joe Thomas, I love you. If you want to come on the show, we would love to have you any fucking time.
I don't know how that would work out. I think you would just be creaming yourself the whole time.
I might have to get up and go change my shorts.
I'd be like, welcome to the show, Joe Thomas, and Mike's just in there just coming the whole time. He's like, hi, Joe. But oh well.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to make that awkward. I will probably see Joe Thomas at some point this year. I saw him last year when I was working the Browns games. Working the Browns games again this year. Actually got my own special credentials from the Browns organization this year. So I get to go in through the media gate where Joe typically makes his entrance. He is fucking large, dude. He is so goddamn tall.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane. Joe Thomas, right?
It's an offensive lineman, man. They're going to be fucking big in the NFL.
Yeah.
But other than that, anything else NFL that you want to go over? We only had a couple other little things that have really stood out. Alvin Kamara has been suspended 3 games for
we kind of
what happened. Yeah, expected it. Honestly, only being 3 games, I was a little surprised by that. But not a whole bunch else going on NFL-wise, other than, of course, we've got camps going on. We've got practices that are going to be joint practices that are going to be happening here very soon. I know my Vikings are doing joint practices with the Cardinals and the Titans. And then we have preseason games starting this Thursday with the Texans and Patriots playing on Thursday. And then my Vikings playing the Seahawks at 7 p.m. on Thursday before everyone else gets into it on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah, Friday, Browns have their first preseason game at home. I will actually be at that game. I'm not working it. I'm going to help train the other people to sell shit, and because I'm not walking around with the boot. And
sure.
So I'll be there for that. But yeah, more camps coming up. I do want to give a small, little public service announcement, though. For everybody who is watching these highlights that come out about your team and think that you have the new greatest wide receiver or whatever in the world, guys, it's camp. Yeah. It's still camp, and it's still early in camp. Mm-hmm. Like the Jalen Hyatt, fastest receiver in the history of receivers. Maybe he is, but that also doesn't mean shit. Ask John Ross. You're going to see a lot of things that come out on social media that your social media team is designed to do. They're paid to make all these guys look awesome. Watch preseason games, see what happens at joint practices, and that will give you a little bit better test of what your team is going to be and look like. Because every social media team is making these guys look out to be like they're fucking world beaters, and they're not quite that yet. Yeah, this is what happens to Cowboys. This is what happens to Cowboys fans every year. This is why we hate them.
It's surprising how much my Facebook and social media feeds will just start recommending stuff to me NFL wise from other teams. It won't even be like the Dallas Cowboys official Facebook page. It'll be fans of the Dallas Cowboys or Dallas Cowboy diehards and stuff like that. Like those groups somehow will get recommended. I'll see posts from them. And the amount of Dak Prescott love on some of these and pure copium of, I saw one of Dak. It was a picture of Dak Prescott and Tom Brady shaking hands at the end of a game. And it said one goat handing off his crown to the next goat. And I was like, what the fuck are you guys smoking down there in Dallas? Like, maybe Dak turns out to be really good by the end of his career, but he's not going to be any Tom Brady. Probably not. You know, there's a lot of, if you follow media from your fan base or the team that you're following, if it's coming from the team, absolutely don't take it as gospel. If it's coming from fan pages of the team, probably just
throw that in the trash. Yeah.
If you're starting to see it from national sources of like, this guy is tearing it up, then there's something to kind of go with there. Unless you have like a very pessimistic or extremely brutally honest type of fan base page that you follow. Like for me, my Vikings have Purple Daily, a podcast, a daily podcast show that is on YouTube. I watch them all the time, and those guys are all beat reporters for the Vikings and for Minnesota sports, and they are brutal. Like, they are very, very brutal with their predictions and things like that. So I actually take a little bit of what they're saying to heart, because they've been talking about some of our players like, hey, this guy is not looking good. Our first round pick from last year, Lewis Seen at safety, who ended up breaking his ankle. Everyone was upset that he didn't get a whole bunch of playing time, and they thought maybe it was his defensive coordinator. Well, so far this year, he is second team. He's not getting that starting time as well. And from what they've seen in camp, they're like, this guy could easily be a bust right now. He's not looking like where he should be. So things like that, they're not out there promoting guys erroneously. Yeah. So just take what you hear with a grain of salt, unless you have some background about the people who are reporting it.
Silly season is not over yet. Okay. Absolutely. They're just moving into a different brand of silly season for now. Wait for a couple of preseason games to see, hey, maybe this guy sticks out a little bit. Don't take it from the social media teams. They're doing their job, and they do them well.
The one guy that I'll put out here now for the internet universe, for my Vikings, that I think is going to surprise people a little bit based off of the reports that I have seen and the stuff that I'm getting from those reporters who are a little bit more hard on the team. Undrafted rookie Ivan Pace Jr. from Cincinnati, linebacker, a name that we've talked about on the show before in our pre-draft process. He is undersized. He is 5'10", 5'11", but was like the leading tackler in college football at linebacker last year and has put up crazy stats. Apparently, he is getting reps with the first team already. So he has been looking pretty good apparently in camp, and I'm excited by that, because whenever you get an undrafted guy that can immediately contribute, that's pretty cool. So I'm interested to see what happens with him.
And if he's good enough to at least stick around on his special teams, he works his way in. So that's really all you need, especially as a young linebacker.
Yeah, I'm getting more excited for this football season as we go along. Do I think the Vikings are going to have another 13-win season? No. Got a much tougher schedule.
You're about to start riding them already?
I am liking what I am seeing from videos from camp, hearing from videos from camp, and I'm really looking forward to this preseason getting kicked off to see what is actually parsing out as true.
All right. Well, brother, I got nothing else for today. You got anything?
No, I'm good to go, man.
All right, man. Well, let's get the fuck out of here. Guys, I'm Mike. That's Evo. This is the Lineman Lounge. You can listen to us anywhere podcasts are found. That has now been updated. All of our episodes are now available to be listened to. Sorry it took me so long. I have a fucking built-in excuse. All right. This one is not up there yet because we're still live, but it will be up there in the next couple of days. I promise. If you want to watch anytime that we go live, or if you want to go back and watch some of your older ones, like the time that we got shithoused and I tore my sleeves off, or when Evo was wearing no shirt and just chains, go to the YouTube, hit the like, subscribe, hit the bell, all of that, and then you can go check out any of your favorite videos. If you want to interact with the show, go to any social media. We got Twitter at Lineman Lounge, Facebook group and a page, Threads, Instagram, TikTok, and there's no other X, Twitter. Yeah, fucking I'm still calling it Twitter.
I think most people are. I mean, what do you say? Are you tweeting or are you Xing? No,
I don't know. But listen, we got all the social medias. Interact with us there, and we just thank you guys for rocking with us, for joining us every week, and then we'll be back next week hopefully with some more updates on how preseason games went, who looks good, who looks bad. The Jets, I'm not sure if they're playing again before our next game, but I'm pretty sure Zach Wilson will look bad. But with that, I got nothing else. Evo, you got anything? One last word for the people?
No, sir. I mean, we actually might be doing this show next weekend with a game going on between the Chiefs and the Saints if we stick around our normal time frame. Either that or it'll be the 49ers and the Raiders, which I know old Joe Rockstar would love. So looking forward to football really getting kicked off and talking to you guys all about it next week.
All right. Guys, I'm Mike. That's Evo. We're getting the fuck out of here. See you.